So let's see another reason why the quotient rule is true. So same quotient rule, but we're going to see a different explanation, and it uses some more advanced techniques, but it does make the explanation a little bit shorter and simpler. So instead of going by the definition with limits, we're just going to use the product rule, the power rule, and the chain rule. So the derivative of f over g, well, first of all, let's pull that f off the numerator and write it as f of x times 1 over g of x, and then we can apply the product rule to that. So the product rule says the derivative of this product is going to be the derivative of the first multiplied by the second plus the first multiplied by the derivative of the second. So the derivative of f of x, that's just f prime of x. So we have f prime of x times 1 over g of x plus f of x times the derivative of 1 over g of x. Now 1 over g of x, we could rewrite that as g of x raised to the negative first power, where this negative 1 indicates a 1 over g of x and does not indicate inverses. So we want to make sure to keep that distinction clear. So then we can just apply the power rule. So all this stuff over here stays the same. Let's take this f prime of x, put it in the numerator up here with the 1. So we have f prime of x over g of x plus f of x multiplied by, now here's where we're using the power rule. Bring that power down, negative 1 times g of x raised to the negative second power. But then the chain rule says we also have to multiply by the derivative of g of x. Bring that to the next page. Now the derivative of g of x is just g prime of x, so that's where we get this from. And then negative 1 times g of x raised to the negative 2 power. Well, g of x raised to the negative 2 power means we can take that g of x, put it in the denominator, and then raise it to the positive 2 power. And also this negative sign out here, we pulled it out of the square brackets and put it on the f of x over here. So now let's go ahead and rearrange a little bit. We'll push the f of x inside of this. So we have f of x and g prime of x on the top here together, all divided by g of x squared. And then what we want is a common denominator. So we take our first term, f prime of x over g of x, and multiply by g of x over g of x, so that finally we get our common denominator of g of x squared, and we combine the numerators, f prime of x g of x minus f of x g prime of x, and that gives us our desired result.